All right, we're gonna start another assignment here. This one is pretty much just a culmination of some of the skills you already know. We're gonna put it together, so you may find you may actually be able to follow along without my dialogue, or maybe able to even to fast forward through some of this stuff. Though I don't fully recommend that. I will provide the text part of the document of this kind of activity if you prefer it, but it is going to be a culmination of some stuff that you pretty much should already know by now. Practice it and help remember it. Getting a haircut this Saturday. Pretty excited. All right. We're going to create a new document, and I'm just not sure what to call this part other than I guess it's kind of like a flange or a spacer. Well, I guess we'll just call it a flange spacer block. Done. All right. I'll check that. Oh, that's loading. One. Go to 3. Perfect. All right. Go on to your next video, which is shell. All right. We're live in the classroom today, so there's going to be some of that. What we're going to do is start our sketch in the top plane. Sketch, and I like to be looking right there, 2-dimensional. I'm going to be really close to you guys today, just to be obnoxious. Just kidding. Rectangle, and we're going to make this rectangle dimensions of 2 by 2. And we're going to extrude that to a depth of, oh boy, get out of the way, barber check. We're going to extrude that to a depth of 0.5. Half an inch. 0.5 equals half an inch. And check. All right, so we've got this block. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to drill 1 big hole in the middle of this and 4 small holes on the corner of this block. So what we'll do is we'll click this top face. Again, you have the option to right click and just view a face normal to. That'll automatically make it flat. And technically I am on the bottom. Again, those terms are kind of arbitrary and could really be interchanged depending on how you're related, what those terms are related to. But anyways, here I am looking at the top face, and we're going to start by drawing circles. And we're going to sketch 4 circles at the 4 edges. So our sketch plane is going to be the face of this extrude. Okay, face of extrude 2. And again, for communication's sake, and clarity's sake, and it's good design practice, I suppose, to label your sketches as you go. I'm going to go ahead and call this, well, I don't want to call it that yet. We're just going to call it holes. Sketch. Oops, and when I hit check, I exited it out of the sketch to approve the sketch. Easy fix. Go in. Anytime you need to edit a past feature, past thing you did, all you got to do is come over to your design tree, double click it, and brings that window back up. And now we got our sketch toolbar back. We can go ahead and start sketching the circles that we want. And as you're kind of free sketching these, just watch that you don't accidentally click on any relationships that you don't already want. So for example, like if I click here, then it's going to, want to lock that corner on the circumference of my circle, and I don't want that. So make sure as you're kind of doing this when you are, that you're not developing any of those relationships prior to. And what we're going to do is we're going to dimension each circle at 0.20. Now I'm going to check something here, and there's 2 ways you can dimension the rest. One, you can go ahead and just keep dimensioning all of these at 0.20, or I'm just going to show you, you've got this toolbar here. These are constraints. We haven't gotten into these a whole lot, but one of these constraints you can use, I'll just give you a little hint there, to make the rest of these circles 0.20. You won't hurt anything. Go ahead and explore that feature. I got to do a student check here real quick. Got it? Yeah. Nice. Labeling everything. Sketches. Fine. Perfect. Awesome. All right, now you got sweet. And then once you're done with sweet, we'll do another video test on scale, shell, and sweet.
This would be negative pieces of power.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Okay, just came in and so I'll probably need one of these.
Okay, sounds good to me. All right, boom. All right, I'm gonna exit dimension command, and here's what I'm gonna do. You could go through and label each one of them 0.2. The other option you have is you can select. Now, when you select things in Onshape, it'll select more than one thing. It'll always grab. Just if I keep clicking, it'll keep selecting. So I'm gonna stop now because I got my 4 circles, and I'm gonna hit this button here. It says equal. That made all those circles 0.2. Nice thing about this feature is I can double click this, change it to 0.1. Instead of changing each circle, it changes all of them small. Now remember, it'll automatically also proportionally change things just because it's trying to predict your next moves. But let's make sure it's 0.2. Those circles are equal. And now we want to define them as far as where they're locked into space. So turn on dimension. Going to come here and here. Let's make this 0.3. And we're just going to do 0.3 from all edges. So from the top edge and then 0.3 from this edge. We're going to do that for all of these circles. Now, just like with the setting it equal, or you could go through and dimension it. Oopsies, being redundant here. You'll find that a lot of times there's more than one way to skin a cat, if you will. The main thing is you want to build good habits. You want to be willing to change habits as well. Don't get stuck in one way is the only way mentality. But so you may, I guess in here you could do a linear function for these. There's probably a few other ways you could come up with. You could probably use construction lines and make all those construction lines equal, and then tie the circles to the intersection of those construction lines. Like I said, lots of ways. This is the way we're going to do it in this video, this 0.3. If you got a different way or another idea, you're more than free to welcome and encourage to comment that below and partake in that discussion. All right, now that we have these sketches, we know we're going to drill these holes, but we're also going to drill one big hole in the middle. So let's just go in and sketch that. That way when we do our extrude cut, we're doing them all at the same time. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sketch this circle. And we know it's 2-inch for 2-inch block, so the center point should be 1 inch by 1 inch. So dimension that from the edge, we know it's going to be 1. Be sure you are keeping your dimension lines vertical. You're not letting them get angular. You want them aligned. And then we're going to do from the top, also going to be 1 inch. Dimension commands on. Oops. And not sure why I want to. Okay, we got 1 inch. Now, it's not fully defined. We're missing one more parameter in order for it to be fully defined. What's that parameter? The size. Okay, so click the outer edge of that circle. That little symbol means diameter. We're going to set that at 1. All right, let's see if we can knock this out in the next 30 seconds as I'm approaching my recording limit. All right, we are good. Our whole sketch is done. So we're going to go to extrude. We're going to extrude face sketches and regions to extrude. We can select whole sketch. Okay, and what it's going to do is want to turn those into pins. We want to remove and just go ahead, select through all. And what should happen is we should get all our holes and everything good to go.